at 5. I'm Topanga from Boy Meets World.
And I'm Casey, the blonde that just happens to be smarter than you. And this is Duloc at 6.
At 5.
At 5.
Today's segment will be on imperialism. Casey, would you like to expand upon this?
Yes, I would. Imperialism is defined as a policy of extending a country's power and influence through diplomacy or military force. And to go further in depth on the subject, we would have to look at the turn of the 20th century to analyze the overall economic and strategic goals for imperialism in America.
In order to avoid an unbalanced national border, the country strategized to take in small developing nations to stabilize the export and import welfare of America. Without this progression, the nation could not have developed to the extent it did today.
In matters of controlling the borders to the United States, the economy was also affected, speaking in terms of occupations and other matters relating to this.
Yes, indeed, Casey. The economic values of society did increase due to the expansion of our territories, such as the Midway Islands, that we used as refueling stations for long-distance or airborne travel. This allowed us to have trade routes for China and neighboring countries. With the surplus of stimulation of trade, the economic boost further encouraged trust in new alliances in the financial world.
That's very fascinating, Topanga. We'll elaborate more on this after the break.
We'll be back shortly. Welcome back to Duloc at 5. We've recently been discussing the topic of imperialism. Casey, would you like to continue?
Yes, however, we seem to be merely touching upon how this affected America and are oblivious to the global viewpoint on it, whether it was justified or not. For that, we will turn our attention to California, our field consultant with the views. Callie?
Thank you, Casey. Now going on the topic of imperialism, with the standpoint of Hawaii, Cuba, the Philippines, etc. The actions were, if anything, justifiable. Without the push forward, trade would not be as efficient as it is today. The country's inability to expand trade would result in a new kind of poverty throughout the world, dealing with the loss of jobs, with importing and exporting, and losing the goods needed to sustain a fulfilling life in America. Back to you, Casey.
Thank you for that analysis, California.
Now we will move over to the topic of whether the turn of the 20th century was a success or not.
Yes. Should the expansion even have been characterized as either, for that matter? Topanga, do you believe it has any impact at all?
In order to answer that question, we would have to acknowledge all of the events that have influenced the turn of the century, and whether or not they were economically and strategically beneficial. The American public gained much from the expansions during the time of imperialism. Without the additions, the economy would plummet. The debt being one we would not be able to dig ourselves out of.
In addition, the countries would have no purpose to associate with one another, leaving the need for world peace dismal.
That's all the time we have for now.
Check back in tomorrow at 6 for our look into the difficulties in the Gilded Age.
It's at 5!
Whatever.
Oh, God.
I don't know which part we're doing.
First
progression, the country would not have accomplished the extent it did today. That makes no sense.
It would not have
To do like a 5. I'm just saying. What?
Slow down.
slow down.
2.
Today's segment will be
Oh my god, kill!
In matters of controlling the borders to the United States, the economy was, I'm done with your
strategize to take in small developing nations to step.
global viewpoint on the papers covering the rest of the words down the line.
No, we want a long shot of her to show that she's standing in her feet. To stick ourselves out of.
Dick ourselves out of.
What are you doing?
We will elaborate on this shortly. We'll be back.
Economically or strategically beneficial. I can't say those words, okay? Why are you?
And, that and other things that we need, and, you know, school sucks, and I'm gonna fail this project.
Due to the expansion of our territory, such as the Midway Islands,
Go ahead, I got that.
So that is at 6 instead of 5, so there's no.